Let me put on a pause for a second. I'll get the
I'll make sure you buy it nice and loud.
share screen also. Yeah, share screen. There we go with sound. Okay, now we are also on streaming and screen share. Very good. Okay, so go right back. And here we go. Background for us. Okay. All right. That was the short end of it. I just put that up. It's okay. One of the problems we have today with streaming is that the very good version that Svika Pick sang is fully copyrighted. So I couldn't play that one. But it was just to get us into a mood. This Shabbat. Stop share. Okay. So for this Shabbat, I welcome everybody here. Those who are following on Facebook or YouTube, we welcome you, and on Zoom, Carmen. Okay, so we're going to start our service, and we'll go right through with Matovu on page 2. Matovu Alecha Yaakov Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu Yaakov Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ani berov chasecha v'itecha shtecha v'chashek yiratecha. Ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chasecha aneni be'emet yishecha. Okay, and we're going to continue. Okay, yeah, we're going to continue. I'm going to keep the speakers up. All right, volume up. Okay, I was depending on my speaker here for today. We continue the morning blessings on page 10. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sefer nafkim ben yom u'ben laila. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tzalmo. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokech ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mati asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rak haaretz alamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasa li kol tzarki. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oziseh bigvura. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam otiseh b'tifara. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layoif koach. And we're going to continue the opening of the Sukkah de Zimran, page 54. Baruch Shema v'Yalam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hoseh v'Reshit, Baruch Omer v'Yaseh, Baruch Gozer Kayem, Baruch Merachem al Haaretz, Baruch Merachem al Briot, Baruch Mishlem Schar Tov l'Reav, V'Chaim la'ad v'Kayam l'Netzach, Baruch Podeh Matzi, Baruch Shemo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'el ha'av ha'rachamon ha'mehulo b'fi amo mishubach b'farav b'shon chazidav v'avadav u'b'shirei David avdecha nalel chadnei Eloheinu b'shvachot u'v'izmirot negadecha nishabecha nefuecha naski Hashem chad ma'ini chamakenu Eloheinu yachid chei olamim melech misharaf v'yadei shmo hagadol Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam batishbachot. Please be seated. And we're gonna do just a technical adjustment. Let's see if we get it there. Give me 1 second. We'll do here. Okay. Yeah, number. No. This one.
Yeah.
Unplug this one. I don't want this one.
Oh, you don't want the
No,
TV?
I don't want this one. I want this one.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're thinking of.
Let's see. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead. So we need this plugged here. Anthony. Yeah, then I need this end.
I have to connect it, but I thought you were trying to get down on the way.
No. Oh, okay. Whatever you can do. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead with it. Okay. All right, that's it. We're gonna. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Where we're gonna go ahead. We'll get this set up patiently. We continue with the Ashrei on page 80. Page 80. Ashrei Yoshve Betachadilu Chasela Asher Am Shekachalo Asher Am Shanael Ha Tila Le David Am Mechamet Vashem. No, don't use that one. No, this one.
Rabbi,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Okay. Apologize. We're trying to get things set up in here. Okay. No, I don't want this cable. This. I don't want this one.
You don't want
No. I want a different one, the longer one. That's it. Okay. Sorry. Let me go ahead. Okay. Sorry. We're trying to get things set up. Page 88. Let's join in Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Bekia Uzo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Kerov, Golo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Beteka Shofar, Golo. Hallelujah, 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 Beteka Shofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'nei bevechino. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Tiltelei Shammai. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tiltelei Truah. Kol hanshamate hallelujah. Kol hanshama te haleya, kol hanshama te haleya, hallelujah. Kol hanshama te haleya, hallelujah. And let's go ahead now. The opening of the Shacharit, page 336. 336. Shochenad maron bekadosh shemo bechaturan tzadikim baranai lai sharim navat tehila befi sharim teithalal ovdevrei tzadikim tebarach oveshon chasidim tetramam ovekeref kedoshim tehit kahadash ovemakalot tibevot amcha beit Yisrael. Shekein chova koyitzurim lefanechat neilahenu ve'elahei avotenu lo dol le'aleh l'shabeach lefaer l'meim la'adei l'vrech la'aleh l'kales ahal kol divrei shirot tishbechot David ben Yishai avdecha meshichecha yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu Berachot Dodot Me'ata V'Yarolam Baruch Ataranai El Melgadot Batishbachot El Odot Adon Niflot Aboche b'shir ezihim ramelech echei holamim. Going to wait for a few more stragglers to come in. We're going to continue page 340 with the prayer for the change of light and darkness as a sense of the feeling of of God's power in the world. Okay, we go ahead. Baruch Hatan Mechalam Yotzer Ovrei Choshech Oseh Shalom Uvarei Et Harko. Now for El Adon, a little bit of a. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to sing it together. We're going to do El Adon together. El Adon na kol hamasim baruch borach befikon shama yalo v'tuvo le'olam da'atu tzvuna sovevim oto amin achayot hakodesh v'neda bechavod al hamerkava zechut umisha Lifnei Chiso, Chesed v'Rachamim, Lifnei Kevodo, Tovim Meorot, Bara Eloheinu, Yetzaram Beda'at Bevinav Haskel, Koach Gura, Natan Ba'em, Liot Moshlim Bekerev Tevel, Meleim Ziv, Umfikim Noga, Noezivam bechol haolam, smechim b'tzeitam, sasim bevam, osim be'emar etzon konam, pe'er v'chavod, notnim lishmo, tola verina lezecher machuto, kara lashemesh, vayizrachor, rabehikin sorat havana, Shevach notnim lo kotzeva amarom tiferet ugedola srafim v'ofani b'chayot hakodesh. Continue on page 344, in the middle of the first paragraph. Kulam ovim, kulam berurim, kulam giborim, kulam osim b'ratzon konam, kulam potchim et bihem migdush haftara, v'shiram zera, v'chim, shafim, parim, atzim, agishim, ma'amlichim, Shem, ha'el, ha'melech, ha'gadol, ha'gibor, ha'nora, kadosh hu, kulam mikablim aleim, on machut shomer ze mizeh, notnim l'shut zeh lazeh, Lagdish liotzram, menachat b'apasavidim al-kedosha, Glam ki'echarim v'yir, kadosh, 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 Adonai tzivot, Oretz kivodo, V'ofanim v'chayot hakodesh, Berash gadol mitnasim l'matzarafim, Tam shabchim v'omrim, Baruch kivod Adonai, mimekomo. Cause a new light to shine upon Zion, may all delights in its splendor. Yor chadash shal tzion ta'ir v'niskech alanu me'ora li'oro baruch atanu hayotzeh ha'me'oro. Page 346. Continue on the top, the expression of love that we feel in having the gift of the Torah. Amar rabba haftanu Adonai Eloheinu Hem lagid olavitera chamad aleinu avinu makenu ba'avor avotenu shebatcha v'cha avinu makenu vat lamdem chukei chayim kein techanenu tlamdenu avinu ha'avarach haman amrachem rachem aleinu v'tem b'libeinu lehavin lahaskil lishma lemodu lelamed lishma velasot olekayem ekol divrei Talmud Torah tehaviyava v'ha'erinenu b'toratecha v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha v'yached levavenu li'ahava u'lira et shemecha Vela Evosh le'olam en ve'la le'olam ki v'shem kodshecha agadol v'hanara b'atachnu nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha v'havienu l'shalom me'arba ganfot ha'aretz tolichenu kamemiut le'atzeinu ki Shota tovanu v'chata mikala v'lashon heraftanu l'shem chagadol sela be'emet lehodot lecha u'yachedcha b'yahava baruch atah Adonai abuchei b'moiseh b'yahava. We take the tzitzit in hand, turn to page 346. And we join in the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'yahavta et Adonai lehecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol modecha v'ayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinamta levanecha v'dibata bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha v'lechta v'aderech shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshatam la'ot ayadecha v'yulitotafot b'neinecha u'ktaftam mezot b'checha v'isharecha. Continue, page 348. Together, middle of the page. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'mata lehem asu lem tzitzit al kanfei bigdehem lidorotam v'natnu tzitzit al kanaf betil techelet alachem letzitzit uritem otos chatem ekol mitzvot as Adonai asitem otam ve'lo taturu acharei levachem v'acharei nechem asher etem zonim achareihem למען תזכרו ועשיתם מכל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים ללכם, אני אדוני לכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אדוני לכם אמת, לכם אמת. We continue on the bottom of the page, 350. Tilot le'eleyon baruch hu mevarach Moshe uvnei Yisrael cham neshir b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi kamocha bo'elim Adonai mi kamocha neda b'kodesh norati lot osef ele shira chadasha shivchu geolim l'shemcha Asifat hayam shira chadasha shivchu olim l'shemcha asifat hayam yachad kulam oduvim ranayim loch leolam va'ed to Yisrael kuma be'ezat Yisrael ovdechinu mecha Yuda ve'yis Go aleinu Adonai tzivaot shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Adonai Goal Yisrael. Okay, we continue the opening of the Midah. Okay, we're all right. We're doing okay. All the people. We rise to the Midah together, 354 and 356, and then we continue till 364. The Hebrew, the English, and our own meditations. Adonai sifatai tiftachu pi agiti latecha baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu Elahei Abraham Elahei Yitzchak v'Elahei Yaakov ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanara Eleyon gomei chasadim tovim v'konei hakol v'zocher chazdei avot v'givnehem leman shemo b'ahava melech ozer Mashiach magen baruch atah Adonai magen Abraham Ata gibor le'olam Adonai mechayem eitim atar rav lo shia משיב רוח, מוריד הגשם, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדום מלך ממית, ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, נאמונת החיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. נקדשים בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כתוב, היד נביאך, כרז הזה ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות לחורץ כבודו, אז בקול רעש גדול, עדיף וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנסים למצרפים, תום ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני, ממקומו. ממקומך, מלכנו תופיע, תמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך, מתי תמלוך בציון, קובענו ותשכון, תתגדל ותתקדש, בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, ונצח נצחים, ועינינו תראנה, תראנה מלכותך, כדבר שירי עוזך, על ידי דוד משכך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם מלך ציון, דובדו הללויה. לדובדו נגיגון לכל נצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, שפחו אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש. משתובד כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אדוני האל הקדוש. נשמח משמעות כלכי ודמי.
Rabbi,
Yes. Judy.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, are you aware that what the background is behind you?
Yeah, the synagogue. Yes.
Okay.
Carmen is out because she's watching Barbara today,
Barbara.
and our two young assistants are out today. So we're running it all from my laptop. So you're going to see
I
this.
understand.
That's why you have the front of the shul. Okay. And we're going to go ahead, and that's why the sound quality may not be quite what it usually is.
No, the sound quality is okay.
You're hearing it good. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. So I'm going to add a little bit.
When you face, it's good, but when you turn away, it's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got to watch it. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead to. For the immediate Vador, back at the end of the Kedusha, which is on page 356, Cantor Finkelstein. Yeah. All right, back live here. Okay, so we're going to go into our little unit of study. It's page 642. Those who have the Siddur in front of you, and those who are following at home, I just explain what it is. Let's follow up on the sets of tens in Pirkei Avot, and now we ask about 10 things asadrim nivru be'erev Shabbat. 10 things were created just before the very first Shabbat at the twilight of creation, right? God has fixed everything. Everything is in motion. Everything is working fine. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Day 7, we know he's going to stop. So there are 10 things that need to be added to creation. And what are they? Haaretz, that's the hole that suddenly opened up and swallowed Bilam. Hamateh, the rod that Moses used. Haber, the well that followed the children of Israel around when Miriam was alive. The Shamir, this was a magical creature who cut the rocks for Solomon in the temple. That's at least the explanation. Aton, the mouth of the donkey that spoke for Bilam. Aktav, that is the writings that were on the 10 Commandments, miraculous writings where you could see both sides equally. Vakeshet, the rainbow of Noah. Vamichtav, and the instrument that was used to write the 10 Commandments. The manna in the desert, and the 2 tablets of the law themselves. And then we come into what's always the Yeshua. There's always somebody has another idea. Af mazikin, the little demons that run around and mess us up. For Atosha Moshe, the unknown birthplace of Moses. Aylo shel Avraham Avinu, the ram that suddenly appeared in the time of Abraham when he was going to sacrifice his son. V'yeshomim af tzvat b'tzvat ha'asiyah. Some say the tongue that was made with a tongue before a tongue was invented. Right? In other words, what's the very first thing that would move everything? That thing had to be invented, right? For the tool maker to use his tools, that had to be a miracle. So, but why, the rabbi, then we ask this question, why are these special 10 elements, plus the amendments, why are they created just before Shabbat of the creation? Why don't we just accept them as miracles that happened when they happened? And the rabbis, we are told, actually have a problem with miracles. And what's the problem with miracles? Miracles violate the laws of nature. If God created and established the laws of nature and then has to introduce a miracle, does not that violate the laws of nature? And does not that indicate that God made a mistake then he has to violate his own laws. And so they say, Olam k'nohogo noheg. The world actually operates in accordance with the laws of its own nature. Olam k'nohogo noheg. When there is a miracle, it's one of two things. Nes, something that is within the experience of life that forces us to pay attention. That's the word nes, meaning a flag to us. And the word in Latin, mira, is to look at something. We want you to look at this. So that it is not the change of nature that is the important part. It's the thing that makes the thing. And then they said, if there's anything that has changed, it had to be already planned in the action of creation. So the mouth of the donkey, the earth that opens up, so all that has to have been built in already from the start. Otherwise, we're accusing God of not knowing how to create the world. Right? Olam k'nohogo noheg. Very, very important point. The rabbis in general tend to take miracles with a grain of salt. Now, I know we all have miracle-working rabbis. Wunder Rebbe among Hasidim, the Baba this, Baba that among Moroccans, among other Jews and so on. All sorts of miracles attributed. I have miracle workers in my family, claim, all of this. But general position of the rabbis was, Olam k'nohogo noheg. The world acts in accordance to its normal path. The Baal Shem Tov was once asked about miracles, and it said, but Rebbe, you make miracles. Is it true that you cause things to suddenly appear, disappear, whatever? He says, I don't make that claim. People feel that about me. That's a very different thing. All right, so that's our thought. Now, we go ahead then, page 20. Joe, I'm gonna chant it, read it with you because the mic's not going to pick you up. And we're going to try with the Torah reading. We're going to try to see if I can move the laptop around so the mic will face us also when we're doing this. So page 20 for the Kaddish D'Rabbanan. Please join in. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma diberach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'omer maya yitborach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitzoman v'yitnaseh Vit hada, vit ale, vit halal, shemei de kucha berihu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata, v'nechemata, damram bi'omar v'imru amen, al Yisrael, v'al Rabbanon, v'al tamidehon, command tamidehon, command the skin baraita, di batra hadein, v'di v'chol atar v'ata, yehei lahon l'chon shlomo rabba, china v'chisarachin, Hain Arechen, Zone Viche, V'kodem min kodem vohandi v'shmaya v'imru amen, Ye'esh lomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu, V'akoi se v'imru amen, Ose shalom v'imromav, U'bracham v'yaseh shalom aleinu, V'akoi se v'imru amen. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, got 8, 9. Okay, we'll make do with our Torah service.
Rabbi,
Yes.
I have a question when you were talking about miracles, but don't you think sometimes that miracles can happen? And I don't mean things to appear or disappear, not that sort of magical type of miracle, but that sometimes unexpectedly things in bad times, miracles do happen. And again, not the magical type, but sometimes just because of other people who do something, do make good things happen. And it feels as though sometimes people, when they write in their writings, and I don't mean biblical types of writings, but they feel as though it's something has been a miracle, that they can't believe that something happened that saved a life, for example.
So I think we should, in the sense that what the rabbis wanted to get away from was the sense that God goes around changing his mind every 5 minutes. That's what they wanted to watch out for. But the idea of
Oh,
miracle, they always had the sense that there is a connection somewhere between a human being and God, the response. But we're not going to give it not going to attempt to give it a logical reason. We're going to attempt to see it as an indication to us of God's presence, as an indication to us now of what are we going to do stepping forward. And there are a lot of things that we also admit that even in the very mechanistic worldview that we have, that where we see something as unexplained happens for things that we do not understand, right? We don't want to go away from the idea that Olam Kino Go Naheg, the world acts appropriately. And therefore the rabbis say, Ein Somchim Ala Nes. You don't wait for the miracle to happen. You take the actions that are necessary. Then the miracle comes with it. And we never want to get to that point, right? So we never give up. We never give hope. And we move forward accordingly. And that's the way to look at it. That's the way to look at it. And if the prayers, if the prayers help, thank God, that's what we want. That's what we want. Yeah.
I was referring to sometimes even for someone, say, who's been in a war and they cannot do anything else themselves. And then unexpectedly, sometimes help comes. In situations where a person is not able to do more, they've done
and in the last minute something happens. Listen, I know cases, people where somebody, the doctors gave up on the person,
yes,
and all of a sudden the body changes and so on. And there are such cases, and I've asked doctors about it. There are such cases where the body suddenly turns around and does heal itself. What is the instigation? What makes it happen? Is up to speculation. So let us call it a miracle. Let us consider that there's something in our lives that helps us and drives us. So that's the way to look at it, the way to focus on it. It's a very important point. Yeah, which is, and the point for this is one that's never give up hope. Never give up hope. Worst comes to worst. Never give up. Now, you also take practical action. You know the story. I'm sure you've heard the guy's in a house trapped, and there's a flood all around. He climbs up on the roof, and the boat comes by and says, "Jump onto our boat. We'll save you." He says, "No, God will save me." And then another helicopter comes on. Here, grab the ladder. He says, "No, God will save me." And then another rescue comes by, and he says, "No, don't worry, God will save you." And the flood takes him away. Comes up to heaven, and God says, "God, why didn't you save me?" He said, "Well, I sent you 3 different miracles, and you didn't take it." All right, so we have to always be aware. We have to take the action. Where we can't take action, we have to have hope and pray. Yeah, that's it. We don't know what inner resources we have. We don't know the effect of other people on us and the impact of their thoughts. There are a lot of things that we don't know. Wisdom is in admitting where we don't know. Also. So, Joe.
Yeah, one particular miracle, I had a couple of.
Yeah, you're still here.
One in particular, when I came to Auschwitz, and Dr. Mengele told me to go to the left.
Right.
He's going to be checking on drugs, but I ran back. I went to the left, and then I ran back to the other side. So that was a miracle. Otherwise, if I didn't run back to the other side, I wouldn't be here now talking to you. That was one miracle. Then I had another miracle. When I got out of the Warsaw Ghetto, I left my parents, 2 sisters, and 1 brother. And if I didn't get out, they went to Treblinka. So I would have been with them.
Yeah, there you go. Here, I'll give you an example, right? My mother and her aunt, her mother was in another place, but they were in a building. They saw that the Nazis were coming to round up Jews in the building. They had one hiding place. They moved out of the hiding place into one of the apartments, and the owner there let them hide in a closet. Well, they come knocking. The SS, whoever's doing it, comes knocking on the door from door to door, and they ask, any Jews in here? And the little boy in the apartment opens the door. They say, "Are there any Jews here?" He says, "No, I don't know any Jews here." Now, and they walked away. The little boy saw this. What was it that made the little boy do that? What would the little boy know? What would the little boy understand? Right? No. That's something inside the human being that takes the right action. Right? That's what we'll call a miracle.
Another
So,
thing you talk
yeah.
about never give up.
Yeah.
If one of you ever heard me talk, when I speak to the kids at the school, the high school.
Yeah. And you know,
Yes, I tell them I saw people running to the electric fence to get electrocuted. I saw people being beaten to death because they gave up. Then they asked me, did you ever think of giving up? So I told them, no, I never gave up. I never lost faith. I never stopped believing in God. And I said, I may have a bad day today, but I hope tomorrow will be a better day.
and you know how much
That's what I tell.
our kids today need this because they're being raised in an atmosphere of fear where people are telling them you should not have kids because it's a bad world. The world is going to explode tomorrow because we're not taking care of our carbon. And so kids are growing up with this kind of fear. We told them stay inside the house, lock the doors, because if we walk outside the door, you're going to get this terrible disease, which didn't happen for kids. But we scared kids straight. And now they come out into the real world. They're afraid. We've created terrible fear in children, right?
Yeah.
We
I
can't,
get thousands of letters I
Yeah.
have from the kids I talk to.
yeah.
And most of them say, we learn from you, never to give up.
Amen. 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 And that's
Amen.
what Jacob learns on today's story reading.
I used to talk to, I talked to a little kid,
Yeah.
went for a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
In Laguna Beach. Chabad, they picked me up
Yeah.
and brought me back. And they arranged a meeting for me to meet there.
Yeah.
So they had to go to the high school because the Chabad wasn't big enough. A big
Yeah.
auditorium,
Really?
there was over 400 people. Half of them was not Jewish.
Okay. Good. I hope everybody can hear this.
Yeah, we
And then
can hear
it's-
you, but I just want to make one comment about what.
Go
you
ahead,
said.
Carmen. Yeah, go ahead.
You just said that, yeah, I agree, we shouldn't over exaggerate or over scare youngsters. But we can't say that this is a terrible disease, never happened to kids. Children died. We need to teach them how to take precautions. So we need to be careful when we make blanket statements.
Well, yeah, look, we know that in the younger age levels, nursery school, preschool, lower elementary grades, the
There were kids that
compilation
died.
were far less than for flu. We know
I
this,
agree, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean they didn't happen.
right? And now the danger is happening. Now we have the RSV. It's spreading among kids like very viciously because they didn't develop immunity. We can't protect everything. I think that's one of the things we have to recognize. We can take cautions, right? We can't protect everything. I think it's one of the hard things I think to learn. Let's go ahead with the Torah reading. It's an important discussion, but let's go ahead with the Torah reading. And go ahead with page 394. And we're getting a crowd. We got a meeting. Barbara's also online together with Carmen. Barbara, how you doing? Please be well. Okay, miss you. Page 394. Ein kamocha ve'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kamasecha malchutcha malchut kol amim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Rachamim etiva b'tzon ha'etzion Tivnecho Yerushalayim Tivnecho mot Yerushalayim Tivecha levabatavnu melech Eron v'Nisa Adon olamim Vahi ben Saron, Vayomer Moshe, Doma Adonai, Ve'afotor Vecha, Ve'yanus Mesanecha, Mipanecha, Ki mitzion Tetzei Torah, Ki Pitzion Teitzei Torah Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amor Yisrael B'kedushato. Page 398. Be'anarachetz Ve'lishmei Kadisha Yakirana Amatush Bechan Be'anarachetz Ve'lishmei Kadisha Yakirana Amatush Bechan Yehi Rava Kadamach Detiftach Libi Beoraita V'tashlim Mishalin Delibi V'liba Decholamach Yisrael Letavu Chayin V'lishlam Amen. Join in the Shema and repeat with me. Repeat after me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadolul Adonai Tionarah Mashemo Yachdav Lecha Adonai Hagedol Hagevura V'atiferet V'anetzach V'ahod Ki Chov Hashamayim Uvaretz Ki Chov Hashamayim Uvaretz V'haranai Amam Lecha V'mitnaseh L'chol L'rosh Romemo Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu L'adam raglav kadoshu Romemo Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu L'har kadsho Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Okay, Torah reading. Let me get the Chumash out. Okay, please be seated. We are going to be on the story of Jacob running for his life, Vayetzei, and we're starting on page 106. When we get to Torah reading, I'm going to try to move the laptop over so those who are following can hear while I'm doing the reading. We'll see how well it works. So we're starting the first third of the portion. Vayetzei Yaakov, Jacob is fleeing for his life. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why he has to flee for his life and run into next week's portion a little bit with that talk. And what happens when brothers are out to, one brother's out to kill the other brother? How do you solve it? How do you resolve it? So he is now on his way out. He is obviously very anxious, very scared. He is not sure he has hope. All right. And so we have the very famous vision of the ladder, its foot in the ground, the top reaching the heavens. And Jacob then sees the angels going up and down. He says, this must be the gate of God. Very interesting that the Hebrew word for Sulam Utzav Atzar Shemaima is a kind of a transposition into Hebrew of the Middle Eastern term for the ancient temples that were built in the Mesopotamian area where he is going to escape to, built, like the step towers. Right? Have you ever seen a picture of, right? The ancient ziggurats of the Mesopotamian area, right? Step towers. And the idea was steps, the base on earth, the top reaching to the heavens. And in the top was a little sanctuary where it was the connection between the human being and the gods. So it is a reflection of this. He is going to the land of, right, these kinds of images. So very interesting, a little extra touch. That's the land where Abraham came from, where his mother came from. And then he makes a deal with God. Jacob is a shachar macher, right? The shachar macher is in Yiddish for a deal maker, handel. Right? He says, if, you see this? All right, he says, if God is with me, and if God will protect me, and if he'll give me bread to eat and clothes to wear, and if I return in peace to my father's home, then God will be my God. And then this is going to be his monument, and I will give him a tithe. Right? Tithe. This reminds me, there was a movie, it was a comedy movie, and the guy in the end, he's giving up on life, and he starts to swim out to the ocean. He wants to end it all, and then he feels himself suddenly being swept away, and he says, God, save me, and he says, save me, and I'll give you everything I've got. And he starts to swim back to the shore. As he gets close to the shore, he says, God, I'll give you 50% of what I've got. Gets closer to the shore, he says, God, I'll give you 10% of what I've got. Gets onto the shore, he says, God, it's okay. I don't have to give you anything. Negotiates. So Jacob is a negotiator. That's his life. Right? Then we come into the two beautiful women that he sees, right? Well, the first one is Rachel at the well, and the story of this young man, so impressed that he single-handedly rolls away the well that an entire group of shepherds can't roll away, the big stone that blocks the well. Kisses this girl. Here's a stranger kissing a girl in the Middle East. That's not too common that you would get away with it, because he knows right away she's his cousin. And then comes home, makes the famous deal that we know about. Give me Rachel, and his father says, fine, 7 years for Rachel, and he switches Leah. And of course, the great comeuppance is that Lavan says, not like you guys back where your father came from. We do not give the younger ahead of the older. Laban knows the story of Jacob, the younger, taking the birthright from the oldest. Is not here. The older goes first. So he gets Leah, then he works another 7 years, gets Rachel. Yeah.
I disagree.
Why?
I'm going to be the Levi. I'm younger than him.
But you're not getting married. That's why. That's why. Okay. Good line. That's a good line. Yeah.
The system right now in the building that works.
Also, the first, you have to go in order. And you pay for the bride. Who pays in the marriage? When a man and a woman want to get married, who pays what to which side for the marriage? The groom has to pay to the family. What's it called it's the mohar. Mohar in Hebrew is the mohar. It's the bride's price. Yeah, but
regardless of who
yeah.
pays, then it happens that the youngest goes
Before. Okay. Okay.
That's in India too.
Huh?
India.
India also.
Same
Okay.
way.
Okay, so the first before, but also the bride. So Jacob's bride price is he has to work 7 years. That's his bride's price, the mohar. Yeah.
What's interesting is the way that God is mentioned here. In several places, first is God of Abraham, then is the fear of Isaac.
Pachad Yitzchak,
And then at the end is the same God of Abraham and Yaakov, who called the father.
That's interesting, because there's an ancestral connection. We're tying in the family. Yeah, very good.
So I wonder what was the conception of God at that time?
They're very. By the way, Nahor is Abraham's father, or the brother. But the father is the one who first starts the move out of Haran.
Yeah.
He is the one. So the rabbi said, Abraham's father already had the idea of God, just didn't act on it to the full extent. Abraham was the one who acted on it. So there's this ancestral connection, right? And so Jacob uses it. Of course, he's going to use it to his advantage, and Laban's going to use it also. One other thing now, then they get into the competition, the two brides, the two wives. to have children. And so that's the other part of the reading that we're going to cover. The birth of the sons, the use of the concubines to complement the tribes. Okay, so let's go ahead, page 106. Go ahead.
The therapy, the only thing which kind of doesn't connect well is the therapy, the statue that.
Oh, at the very end of this portion. Yeah, at the end of this portion. Yeah. So let me just backtrack. At the end of this portion, Jacob has convinced his wives that their father-in-law is up for no good. They agree, they understand, and they flee. And then Lavan runs chasing after them. Why does he want the teraphim? Why does Rachel steal the teraphim? And does Rachel want them for idols? No, where does she put them?
In the camels.
Under her seat. Is that where you put an idol, if you believe in it? That's the source of impurity.
Yeah.
On your bottom. And she says she's menstruating. On top of that, so it's impurity on top of impurity. That's not what you do when you really believe in those idols.
Yeah.
So why would she steal them, and why would Lavan be so concerned? Well, who holds the idols? The head of the tribe. Jacob, what did Jacob do to Esau? He took the birthright. Here is Lavan's claim to be the head of the tribe. Rachel is taking it away from him to say, no, my children will now be the heads. That's what she has done to her father. That's why he's so angry, and because she has, and he doesn't know it's her. She has done it to him. She's taken away the authority from Lavan, transferred it to the children of Israel.
Or could it be that they used to think that like a good luck thing, that if you possess that, you will get.
See, that would be the assumption. But then if that's a good luck thing, why hide it under your saddle where you're sitting? You're a woman. The woman in the Middle East, the woman is, she says, I'm impure. You can't touch me. And Lavan cannot come into her tent. So she doesn't respect it. Very clear. She doesn't respect it. She knows it's a symbol of authority. She's taking the symbol of authority because it's the symbol of authority. Transfer the birthright. She's taking the birthright. Transferring it. That's what she's doing. Okay. Page 106. I'm going to try to turn this around. Yeah.
Symbol of authority, not.
Well, that's the assumption. Yeah. Yeah. Is Lavan using it as a symbol? All right, let's try to take this here. We're going to see if we can get this facing our way. And okay, there we go. Okay. I know. Yeah, wait a minute. We'll try to get this. It's going to lose the background here. Hold on. I know. Here, I'm going to try to. I'm going to apologize. Let me just readjust this. Maybe we can get this to. I know. None. Where do I want to go to? No effects. None. Okay. Tell me if you can see us. I think so. Here. I'm going to focus it this way. Yeah.
Put your back a little bit down.
Little down.
Back. No.
Here we go. It's a little crooked. I'm going to apologize. But at least you can see the Torah reading platform, and maybe the microphone will carry. Okay, so I'm going to read in this direction. My apologies. Vayetzei Jacob. We're going to read sentences 10 through 12, page 106. Yeah, so call up my code.
Moshe,
Then Ishka.
then Yitzchak is gone.
Yeah, yeah, right there. All those three.
Who, I don't know, have a while. But we're going to run along with it, but we're going to tell you not, and we're here, they're going to love us, I know me, call army, but a lot of it to a top, but we're going to tell you not, no pain, no terror.
אמן. ויצא יעקב מבאר שבע, ולחרנה ויפגע במקום וילן שם, כי בא השמש ויקח מאבני המקום וישב מרשותה וישכב, וישכם בבוקר ההוא, ויחלום וישכב במקום ההוא, ויחלום הנה סולם מוצב על צוואר מגיע שמיימה, והנה מלאכי אלוהים עולים ויורדים בו.
We're going to tell you not, and we're healing back along, I saw, not to line to our enough, but here you are, along, not to him, but to him, but we're going to tell you not, no change to
Amen. Okay, good. I say Barbara's trying to come on board also. Good. Okay. Verses 13 through 17. 13 through 17. Taking A over to Shine the mic.
ברוך אדוני ברוך לא בנם ברוך להם ברוך אדוני מלכם אשר בקבון מקורם נתן וסלוסוי ברוך אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. והנה אדון ניצב עליו אני אדוני אברהם אביך וליצחק הארץ אשר אתה שוכב עליה לך אתננה לזרעך ויהיה זרעך כעפר הארץ ופרסי יבנה וקדמה וצפונה ונגבה ונברכו כל משפחות האדמה ומזרעך והנה אנוכי עמך שמרתיך בכל אשר תלך והשבתיך אל האדמה הזאת כי לא אעזבך עד אשר אם עשיתי את אשר דיברתי לך ויקץ יעקב בשנתו ויאמר אכן יש אדוני במקום הזה אנוכי לא ידעתי ויאמר מה נורא המקום הזה אין זה כי אם בית אלים וזה שעה שמיים.
ברוך אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת חיון נטע בסופנו ברוך אדוני נותן התורה.
And we continue verses 18 through 22. And I want you to pay good attention. And line, let me just get to the place. Yeah, just so you see. Line 19. You tell me if you see a famous name in line 19. What does it say in line 19? Bethel. That is how Hollywood Temple Bethel got its name. Every synagogue is Bethel. And if you ever go in the main sanctuary, over the main sanctuary, if I'm not mistaken, it has this quotation, Bethel. That's where the name is from, the house of God. But the other place it uses the word Sha'ar Shamayim, that's also the name of a synagogue in Montreal. Yeah, but this is Bethel. Now you know where it's from. Okay, so we're going to start until so it's 18 through 23, 20.
Who Adonai and
Amen. וישכם יעקב בבוקר ויקח את האבן אשר שם מרשותה וישים אותה בצבע ויצק שמן על ראשה ויקרא את שם המקום ההוא בית אל אולם פלוס שם העיר לראשונה וידור יעקב נדר לאמור אם יהיה אלוהים עמדי ושמרני בדרך הזה אשר אנוכי הולך ונתן לי לחם לאכול ובגד לבוש ושבתי בשלום אל בית אבי ויהיה אדוני לי לאלוהים האבן הזאת אשר שמתי מצבה יהיה בית אלוהים וכל אשר תיתן לי אסרנו לך.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת חיי עולם ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו.
Amen. I'm going to say for those who are listening in, it mentions about Beit El, and then it says, and the name in the original name was Luz. I have a footnote on a medieval document in the Huntington Library, my name with a footnote to it, this is my claim to fame in academia, where the binding of a book, which was very common, was taken from an old manuscript of the Talmud, somewhere in the Middle Ages, and was re-glued to be the binding of the book. And what they do in these academic libraries, they're able to peel apart the pages, they could find the page, and they said, somebody know where it is. And one of my members was connected with it, says, ask Rabbi Weimer. Luckily, I knew what the page was. I'd seen it before. So I identified it. So my claim to academic fame. Okay, there we go. In the Huntington Library.
This part too, the pillar stone is the one that is used in the coronation of the English.
Yeah, I don't know where they get that idea. That's it. Because they make the Jews. They don't need Jews. They think the Jews. They don't. Page 107. We continue verses 18 through 29, chapter 29, 1 through 8.
Okay. Baruch Adonai, Baruch Le'olam Vayed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam asher ba'alabanu mikol hayamin v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Vayetzei Jacob and Esau b'nei Kedem v'yar והנה באר בשדה הנה שם 3 אדריצות רוחצים על הקי מן הבאר ההוא ישבו הדרים מהאבן גדולה על פי הבאר ונאספו שמה כל הדרים וגדלו את האבן מעל פי הבאר ושקו את הצאן ושיבו את האבן על פי הבאר למקומה ויאמר להם יעקב אחי מאין אתם ויאמרו מחרן אנחנו ומלם הידעתם את לבן בן נחור ויאמרו ידענו ויאמר להם השלום לו ויאמרו לו שלום והנה רחל בתו באה עם הצאן ויאמר הן עוד היום גדול לו את היאסף המקנה השקו הצאן ולכו ראו ויאמרו לא נוכל עד אשר אספו כל העדרים וגדלו את האבן מעל פי הבאר ושקנו הצאן עודנו מדבר עמם ורחל באה לצאן השקנו הצאן.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet ve'yahyeh olam natav b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yes, Mr. Jeff, because I woman.
For the return from flight, overseas from Belgium. Yeah, Jeff returned to us from Belgium where he participated. Very important.
Yeah, well.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll help you with it. Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second. Yeah. Page. So I'll go with you. Yeah.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hagomel le'alvin tavot shegomlani kol tov.
And it has been gracious to you in the past, continue to be gracious to you and to all Israel. Amen. Okay, although today, sometimes walking down the street is more dangerous than going overseas on the plane. Even to Belgium. All right, here we are. Song line. So we're doing lines 9 through 17. So the first word is Odenu Medaber, up through. Go ahead.
Baruch es Adonai HaMevorach. Asher b'chol im v'tznutan lanu v'satorah. Baruch Adonai
Odenu Medaber, ברחל באה עם הצאן אשר אביחתירה, תירועתי, ויהי כאשר יעקב את רחל בת לבן אחי אמו ואת צאן לבן אחי אמו, ויגש ויעקב בגר את האבן מעל פי הבאר, ויש את הצאן לבן אחי אמו, וישקה, ויש יעקב רחל ויישא את קולו ויבך,
ויגד יעקב בחלקי אחי אבריה ההיא והיא בן רבקה היא ותרץ ונגד לאביה ויהי כשמע לבן את שמה יעקב בן אחותו וירץ לקראתו ויחבק לו וישק לו והביאהו אל ביתו ויספר לבן את כל הדברים האלה ויאמר לו לבן עצמי ובשרי אתה וישב עמו חודש ימים ויאמר לבן ליעקב אחי אתה ועבדתני חינם הגידה לי משכורתך וללבן שתי בנות שם הגדולה לאה ושם הקטנה רחל בעיני לאה רק כהות ורחל הייתה יפת תואר ויפת מראה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן וסופנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. So we continue lines 18 through 33, which takes us to the go ahead and break it down there. Hold on one second. I just want to check this. I go to 35. I'm gonna take it all the way to actually 30. I'm just gonna go to 35. Yeah, I'm gonna go to 35. It'll make it easier to track, and then it'll just be much easier. Okay.
יעמוד
Jonathan Ben.
גם
Done. No, it's not right here and go ahead. Just like go ahead. So yours. What if it be that?
Him not alone, assured my harbanu, because I mean, when I come on at Torah, and no change on Torah.
יעקב את רחל ויאמר עבדך 7 שנים ברחל בתך הקטנה ואומר לבן טוב תיתי אתה לך ותיתי אותה לאיש אחר שבה עמדי ויעבוד יעקב ברחל 7 שנים ויהי בעיני ימים אחדים באהבתו אותה ויאמר יעקב אל לבן אהבה את אשתי כי מלאו ימי ואבויה עליה ויאסוף לבן את כל אנשי המקום ויעש משתה ויהי בערב ויקח את לאה ביתו ויבא אותה אליו ויביאו עליה ויתן לבן לה את זלפה שפחתו ללאה ביתו שפחה ויהי בבוקר והנה היא לאה ויאמר אל לבן מה זאת עשית לי הלא ברחל עבדתי עמך ולמה רימיתני ויאמר לבן לא יעשה כן במקומנו לתת עצירה לפני הבחירה מלאו 7 זאת ונתנה לך גם את זאת בעבודה אשר תעבוד עמדי עוד 7 שנים אחרות ויעש יעקב כן ומלאו 7 זאת ויתן לו את רחל ביתו לא לאישה ויתן לבן לרחל ביתו את בלהה שפחתו לשפחה ויבוא גם אל רחל ויאהב גם את רחל מלאה. ויעבוד עמו עוד 7 שנים אחרות וירא אדוני כי שנאה לאה ויפתח את רחמה ורחל עקה ותהר לאה ותלד בן ותקרא שמו ראובן כי אמרה כי ראה אדוני בעני כי אתה יהבני אישי ותהר עוד ותלד בן ותאמר כי שמע אדוני כי שנואה אנוכי ויתן לי גם את זה תקרא שמו שמעון ואתה עוד ותלד בן ותאמר אתה הפעם ילדה אישי אליי כי ילדתי לו 3 בנים על כן קרא שמו לוי ותהר עוד ותלד בן ותאמר הפעם עוד את אדוני על כן קרא שמו יהודה תעמוד מלדת.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
That's number 7. 27.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech asher v'tamanu Torah emet olam nachat et
Amen.
Maybe
Okay, so we're gonna continue now, chapter 30, verses 1 through 13. 1 through 13. And go ahead. Wait, hold on. Yeah.
the way that it is written kind of not very clear when Leah had the kid, because he started talking about the kids when already he married Leah, married Rachel.
Right, yeah.
So we don't know.
So he says, very firstly,
Here,
and so so Jacob loves Rachel more than he loves Leah. God has pity on Leah. He's always looking for the underdog, or in this case, not a dog, but the under person. And in this case, Leah's the under person, so he gives her now the benefits. And so she has children, right? So that's the connection. And Rachel doesn't have. She can't give
the
birth.
question is, when Leah started having the children, because according to, they start talking about the children when already married Leah, married Rachel.
Yeah, so he marries.
But it seems that
That's- he's
7
got-
years.
He's got 1 year, 7 years to marry
prior,
Leah,
Yeah,
which is supposed to be Rachel.
but then.
So then 1 week goes by, which is when he owes Leah, and he marries Rachel. Then he works another 7 years, but that doesn't mean he's not having kids in 7 years. So it's very clear that now he's starting to have children. He's starting with Rachel, and he's doing with Leah. He's got an obligation to both of them.
So probably the first 4.
So it gives us 9 months in between.
7 years.
Yeah, right. It was 9 months in between, plus a few months to recover.
Yeah.
So, but also, just an interesting aside, and you see this, Rachel is upset, and she's jealous, and she's angry at, and she says to Jacob, "Give me children or I die. I'm going to die if I don't have children." And Jacob gets very angry. When it happens to Sarah, so Abraham is concerned. When it happens to Isaac, Isaac prays for Rachel, for Rivka. Here he's just angry. So some of the sages says, "Why is she angry? Why is he angry?" And it's because she said, "If I don't have kids, I'm going to die." And he says, and the explanation is, well, are you any less of a human being because you don't have children? Because a woman like a man can do mitzvot. A woman like a man has a purpose in life. So that's why he's angry. It's a good explanation, but it's an interesting perspective from a rabbi in the Middle Ages who gives us this perspective. The woman is not just children.
Yeah.
Right?
But probably there was jealousy.
No, the judge says, yeah, she's jealous. That's it. Okay. Good. Okay. Continue in page 110. Yeah, we're going to go 1 through 13. ברוך אתה מברך, ברוך נברך לעובד, ברוך אתה למחלה, אשר בחבנו מכל עמים ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. ותראה רחל, כי לא ילדה לי יעקב ותקנא רחל באחותה, ותאמר על יעקב, הבא לי בנים, אם אין מתה אנוכי, ויחא אף יעקב ברחל ואומר, התחת אלוהים אנוכי, אשר מנע ממך, ממך ברית בטן, ותאמר הנה הנה עמדי מלהבה אלך בוא אליה ותלד על ברכי ואבנה גם אנוכי ממנה ותתן לא את בלהה שפחתה לאישה ויבוא עליה יעקב ותהר בלהה ותלד יעקב בן ותאמר רחל דנני אלוהים גם שמע בקולי ויתן לי בן אל תקרא שמו דן ותהר עוד ותלד בלהה שפחת רחל בן שני ליעקב ותאמר רחל נפתולי אלוהים נפתלתי עם אחותי גם יכולתי ותקרא שמו נפתלי ותראה לה כי עמדה מלדת ותיקח את זלפה שפחתה ותיתן אותה ליעקב לאישה ותלד זלפה שפחתה ללאה שפחת לאה ליעקב בן ותאמר לאבא גד ותקרא את שמו גד ותלד זלפה שפחת לאה בן שני ליעקב ותאמר לאה אשרוני באשרי כי אשרו לי בנות
ותקרא את שמו אשר. ברוך אתה מחולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת ואין אותה בתוכנו, ברוך אתה נותן התורה. Okay, yeah. Those who are ill. Okay. We pray for those. Mishaberach Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarif, Shachar, Leah, Berek, Yapeta, Chalime, the Holy One. Let's be blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah. Bless and heal those who are ill. Let me get the list. 1 second. I have one here. Yeah, here. Yeah. Bless and heal. The little child Alithia Montalvo and Joe Alexander, Marcy Kelchik, Ronnie Duran, Harriet Levins, Marcy Ben Manya, Barbara Moorman, Judy Alkali, Richard Zeller, Judy Smith, Samuel Smith, Robert Drotta, Roger Rosen, Rachel Flalos, and Tukman Shirley Marco, Liba Bat. Nothing even better than that. Roger Rosen, Robert Dratto, Rachel Flalo, Susan Tuchman, Inga Boost, John Deborah Robin, Rose Helene Batrivka, Hannah Batchaya, Marvin Katz, Andrea Vasela, Aliva Batsara, Herb Mormon, Hannah Sarah, Leah Batrachel, Hannah Sarah Batkela Alta, Sophie, the friend of Judy Alkali, Hannah Batsara, Irina Osepian, Alan Whalen, Laban Masha Ben Sarah, Jennifer Fraser, Noah Ben Chana, Shoshana Batsara, Louis Jason, Erna Nissan, Ed Grush, and Mort Lasky. Go ahead, give me Sima Halev, Ronan Tohalev, Susan Feinberg, Sharon Littman, Rachel Batsiba, Laban Masha Ben Sarah, Helen Flax, and Adam Flax. The other nation, Tito and Gary Gorodisha, Ron Watson, kind of Julian Eisner, Joseph Persino, Rachel Batvinter, and David Atchison, Wendy Keller, Natalie Bateliahu, Noah Ben David, David Ben Hanalea. Okay. And for all of them we pray. Agadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleim Lachzikan Rafotam Nishlach Lemeira V'Shleima L'Cholim V'Gev M'Tok Shachol Yisrael. May the Holy One send them healing both in body and mind to them, to the whole house of Israel, to all who are ill, speedily and quickly. And let us all say Amen. And we'll join together with the Mishabera. I don't have the words up here, but try to sing along with me. Mishabera Avoteinu Mekor Habracha Imoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishabera Imoteinu Mekor Habracha Imoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. 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 God is my God.
Okay, hold on 1 second. It's page 117, 32 verses 1 through 3. Let's just read from the It's honestly. Yeah, it's the one that has no break in line. Okay, so it's starting, the first word is by Shemot on the Boker. I got it. Yeah, that's good. Go ahead, so yours.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Adonai HaMevorach Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. וישכם לבן בבוקר וינשק לבניו ובגדותיו ויברך אתכם וילך וישוב לבן למקומו ויעקב הלך לדרכו ויפגעו בו מלאכי אלוהים ויאמר יעקב כאשר ראה מחנה אלוהים זה ויקרא שם המקום ההוא מחנאים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו את תורתו תורת אמת בחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Okay, strong arms. Is let's put ourselves back in the chapel. All right, friends, we're back in the chapel. I'm going to turn the Haftarah over to Dr. Norman. We'll chant it from here so you can all see and hear him. And let me just get the page correctly. 1 second. From this page 118, it is from Hosea, and Hosea is reminding the children of Israel how Jacob fled to his father-in-law, Beisha Shamar, Beisha Nishmar, how he worked for the 2 wives and so on, and then goes into reminding the children of Israel to be loyal. All right, they're falling by the wayside. They're not keeping up their commitments to God. That's the general theme of this Haftarah. So it's chapter 12, 13 over 14, 10, book, page 118. There we go. So it should be fine. Basically, the screen, and you'll be good. Thank you. Okay.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנביאים טובים ורצה בדבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ומשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ויפרח יעקב שדה ארם ויעבוד ישראל באישה ובאישה שמר. ובנביא העלה אדוני את ישראל ממצרים ובנביא נשמר. החים אפרים תמרומים ודמיו עליו יתושו והרפתו ישיב לו אדוני. כדבר אפרים רתם נשאו בישראל וישם בבעל וימות. ועתה יוסיפו לחטוא ויעשו להם מסבה מכבשם כתפונם עשבים מעשה הראשים כולו להם הם. אומרים זופי אדם עגלים ישכון לכן יהיו כענן בוקר וחתל משקים הולך כמוס יסועד מגורן וכעשן מערובה. ואנוכי אדוני אלוהיך מארץ מצרים ואלוהים זולתי לא תדע ומושיע אין בלתי. אני ידעתיך במדבר בארץ תלעובוד כמעריתם וישבעו שבעו וירום ליבם על כן שכחוני. ואחי להם כמו שחר כנמר על דרך אשור. אפגשם כדוב שקול ואקרא סגול ליבם ואוכלים שם כלביא חיית השדה תבעכם. שהחתך ישראל כי בי בעזרך אחי מלכך איפה ויושיעך בכל עריך ושופטיך אשר אמרתי תנח לי מלך ושרים. אתן לך מלך באפי ואקח בעברתי. שרור עוון אפרים ספונה חטאותו. חבלי יולדה יבואו לו הוא בן לא חכם כי עת לא יעמוד במשבר בנים. מיד שולפתם ממוות אגאלם. אחי דבריך מוות אחי כתובך שאול. נוחם יסתר מעיניי כי היא בין אחים יפרי. יבוא קדים רוח אדוני במדבר עולה ויבוש מקורו וחרב מעיינו הוא ישתה אוסר כל כלי חמדה. תשם שומרון כי מרת ואוהליה בחרב יפולו. עול עליהם ירוטשו וחריתויותיו יבוקעו. שובה ישראל עד אדוני אלוהיך כי כשלת בעוונך. קחו עמכם דברים ושובו אל אדוני אמרו אליו כל תישא עוון וכך טוב ונשלם פרים שפתנו. אשור לא יושיענו על סוס לא נרכב ולא נאמר עוד אלוהינו למעשה ידינו אשר בך ירוחם יתום. ארפה משובתם אוהבם נדבה כי שוב אבי ממנו, אהיה קטן לישראל, יפרח כשושנה, ויחשול שושב כלבנון, ילכו ינקותיו, ויהי כזית הודו, וריח לו כלבנון, ישובו יושבי בצילו, יחיו דגן ויפרחו כגפן, זכרו כיין לבנון, אפרים מלי עוד, לעשבים אני עניתי, ואשורנו אני, פיברוש רענן ממני, פרייך נמצא, מי חכם, ויבן אלה נבון וידעם, כי ישרים דרכי אדוני, וצדיקים ילכו בם, ופושעים ייכשלו בם. חי גואלנו צבאות, כמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, זור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא, אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך אחור, לא ישוב ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון, כי היא בית חיינו, ולעלוות נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני, משמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, באליהו הנביא עבדך, ומלכות בית דוד בשלחך. במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסאו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמלוכה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך לפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Norman. Always a pleasure that you are with us. Yes.
Is there some kind of clear history between Joshua Begun and the king of David, Christ books that you said of Israel?
There's 400 years in between. So there's a lot of history in between. That's the entire book of Joshua is a summary, we may say, of the conquest, sort of a sanitized version, summarized version. The book of Judges is the more detailed version, which really goes into nitty gritty. So 400 years, it's a Wild West. Each one did what he thought was right in his own eyes. And, depending on charismatic leaders coming up, as they say in Hebrew, balagan, a mess. And the only solution to the mess was to find a powerful leader. They tried to do it in the image of Saul. He was just not capable enough, or David was too smart, and David takes over. That's it.
But at the beginning, the rules and judges were trying to.
So they're very disorganized, very disunited, very disunited. The book of Joshua, book of Joshua is trying to give you a summarized encapsulation of a clean takeover. The book of Judges actually tells you how it was, which is not a clean takeover. Disunited tribes, they're at the mercy of the Canaanites. Canaanites are there, They're not wiped out. The Philistines are there, the Ammonites, they're all there. They're all there. And it takes all the time, it takes a long time till they become, and we don't know, are they absorbed into, basically what happened, we believe is the Canaanites eventually are absorbed completely into the body of the children of Israel.
The scripture, maybe the way the language.
Well, we know, the language is one, the Hebrew is Canaanite, so they're, as they're coming into the land of Israel, the language is transitioning. So if you notice the story of Jacob, I don't want to go on too much about this, but in the story of Jacob and Lavan gives the name of the site in Aramean. Jacob is already using it in the Hebrew. And so it's an indication of a transition. The northern tribes coming in using Aramean of that period, and then the children of Israel already adopting to the Hebrew of the surroundings. So Canaanite Hebrew, language, inscriptions, part of the influence. But as I say, gradually the Canaanites are absorbed into the body of the children of Israel. That's basically what we understand is happening. And one of the problems that the prophets are always complaining about is they're influencing children of Israel because they're pagans. And they're constantly, right? So you have this idealistic group leading, remembering the heritage and so on, and they're absorbing into it. And this has to have the constant warnings about don't marry, don't blend in. But they do marry, we know it. We know it. Archaeological remains, DNA remains show it. DNA, the ancient Canaanites, the DNA of ancient Israelites, the DNA of the Samaritans, very close. Very close. Yeah.
So when they started being adults, they stopped believing in the God of Israel.
They're influenced by what's outside. Yeah. So it's academics would call it syncretism. Syncretism. This is nice. This is nice. I'll take a little of this. Take a little of this. It is the core. It's only a core that really are dedicated. This is what they call the prophets, the followers of the prophets. They're the core believers. They're the ones leading the fight. Everybody else is, it's nice. I'll have a Christmas tree in my backyard. I'm not going to that kind of thinking. I'll have a Hanukkah menorah, right? Is that kind of thinking?
What's a Christmas tree?
Huh?
What is a Christmas tree?
Okay, that's a.
It's a
What is a Christmas tree?
I got a white one.
So even though they all witnessed what they witnessed at Sinai, they still were like.
Yeah. Because now as generations go by, they forget. That's what Moses is telling you. You're going to forget. I know this. You're going to forget. Kids won't understand. They won't understand anymore. Right? He's frustrated in advance. He really is. Yeah.
But found the notion of
Let's see if this is right.
somehow was not far away at that time because El Shaddai was kind of also believed by the tribes that were around Abraham.
So so the question is about Abraham comes into Jerusalem, Salem, Shalem, the abbreviation of one of the variations of Yerushalayim, and there's a Melchizedek. And he says, the El Elyon. But Abraham changes the wording. So we distinguish. Oh, I know these terms. We're giving it now our Kodesh HaMayvar is the one who created heaven and earth. We distinguish between your local idea of a God and my idea of a universal God, right? That's the intent of that switch in the text. Yeah.
Before we know Canaanite Hebrew, how could we read before?
The Canaanite Hebrew is, we shifted the script for the block script, which was influenced by the Canaanites, but went back to Mesopotamia, brought it back with us. It's the block script that we use today, which is not the same, but the handwriting script, if you look at Rashi's script, those carry over some of that. And we use both writing systems for a long time, actually. So, but the handwritten, which is if you look at the Ten Commandments in the Charlton Heston picture we're holding, that's written in the Canaanite script, which the Samaritans still use.
So we learned Canaanite Hebrew from the Canaanites and then went to Egypt?
Oh, it's the Canaanite. Well, we went down, we came back. Egypt was Canaanite to some extent. During that time, it was we don't know exactly. I mean, Canaan was an Egyptian province at just at that period, but the control over Egypt was people from Semitic tribes. They were not Egyptians ruling Egypt at that time. That's how Joseph comes in. They're not really Egyptians
When
either.
they left Egypt,
As presumably.
when they left Egypt, did most of the people spoke Aramaic, Egyptian language, or Hebrew?
We don't know what they spoke. Good question. But you know what we do know? You know what we do know, by the way, is that we have in the copper mines in the Sinai and the Negev, that's where we have the oldest Hebrew script, and that's where the people working there in the mines were developing it, and it was the Hebrew script.
Over here, most of the people speak English, they
Yeah.
want to know Hebrew, so I'm just saying, most of the language in Egypt.
Good question. What were they really speaking? Good question. They were off to themselves, so it is quite possible that they still were speaking. They remember they settled in Goshen, which is away from the core of Egyptian society, intentionally. They settled there. That was keep them aside. Yeah.
What's the oldest archaeological?
Well, that's it. It was just came out a few weeks ago. It's before it's around the time of Abraham and Isaac, before there's really a presence. So that script, that's the oldest script that we have. It's a full sentence, an actual full sentence. The first biblical Hebrew script that we have comes from somewhere around the time of King David or shortly thereafter, which is a calendar, which is that's would be in the time of the actual Israelite presence, where they're actually Israelites. Yo, Shimon, hi.
What is the story about Hammurabi?
Hammurabi, that's already way long before in Babylonia. The law codes, it's law codes of Babylonia. And they're very similar law codes all through the Middle East.
It's written in the same character like Hebrew?
No. That's the cuneiform, which is Ktav Yetadot, it's pegs, stick figures. Yeah, it is the same idea as Egyptian hieroglyphics, but it's using stick figures into clay. The ancestors of the Israelites, the predecessors of the Israelites, were the first people on earth to think of the idea of using symbols for sounds instead of pictures, and changed the entire concept of writing worldwide. Okay,
So
let's go.
The Hebrew that we have today, it's Ashuri.
Ktav Ashuri, yeah, that's what we brought back from.
Ashuri, from where we got it.
Used in others, the Ktav Knani eventually influenced all the writing in the Middle East, different variations. So the Ktav Ashuri is what we call the Assyrian script, is what we used after the Babylonian exile. And we still use it's called Ktav Ra'at, Ktav Da'at, the original Canaanite for a long time, even until the period of Bar Kokhba, we still have documents with using both. Still, but then
it's a tablet that we can put on the floor to see how the people characters change.
I'd say you can. We have sure. They're also the Samaritans have not yet. No, that disappeared. Actually, it was replaced. It was being replaced by the
Samaritan has different.
Samaritan is the original.
We use it today.
They have the original. They kept the original.
Can we get it?
Where can we get it? It's available. Yeah. I can do a topic.
If we can get it, like to put on the tape on the wall.
You can print out and
Someone
make
has
it.
interest.
We can print out. I can do a topic on Hebrew. That's a later topic and do that. Let's go ahead. We want to go ahead with the service though. Otherwise, we're not going to get out of here. And I have a more important discussion, a really critical discussion. So I want to get to that. Yeah, let's go ahead then. Prayer for the United States and prayer for Israel. Prayer for the United States, page 415, if somebody would lead us.
Yeah.
That's a very good topic. I can do that at some point so you can see. I can put it up. 415, prayer for the country. You come up here because the microphone is here inside the speaker. Okay. Come right up here.
Okay.
Go ahead, speak into the mic. Everybody can see you. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Okay, a prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leader and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights of your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony to banish all hatred and bigotry and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions which are the pride and glory of our country. May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom and helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And thank you. And we're going to sing together the prayer on behalf of the people of Israel. You pull it up. I can't put it on the screen, but I'll just lead you. And you have one. Okay. We'll just, it's the Hebrews here on page 416. It's only the English. It's just the way it's phrased, but you can follow along. Together. Avinu Sheva Shamayim. So Yisrael v'galo barech et medinat Yisrael v'shitz michar gulatenu hagen aleha bevrat chazdecha ufros aleha sukat shalomecha shlachocha v'amitcha nosher zarei v'yatzeha taknem beitzah tova milfanecha. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Avinu Sheba Shamayim. Deliver them and crown their efforts with triumph. Avinu Sheba Shamayim. So Yisrael v'galo. Bless our land with peace, O God. Its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen. Avinu Sheba Shamayim. So Yisrael v'galo. Borech et medinat Yisrael. Shitz micha gulatenu. Again aleha bevrat chasdecha ufros aleha sukat shalomecha v'noma amen. Okay, and let's return the Torah to the Ark, page 422. Okay, volunteers. Vezot HaTorah she'asa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. No, wrong one. I'm off. Hallelujah. Shem Adonai ki niskashu bo levado. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'amot tehila lechochasi hidav livnei Yisrael am kerova. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Mizmor leDavid. Havul Adonai b'nei Eli. Havul Adonai kavodos. Havul Adonai kavod shemo. Ishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh. K'meim kavodim Adonai ma'im rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koch. Kol Adonai be'adar. Kol Adonai shaver arazim. V'shaver Adonai et hazeh havanon. Yakirem k'megav v'siryon k'mo ben remim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh. Kol Adonai yachim midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yacholel ayolot. Sofi orechal kolo omer kavod. Adonai lama bun yashav. Vayeshev Adonai melech leolam. Adonai oz le'amo yitein. Adonai varech et amo v'shalom. Uvnecho yama. Etz chayim hi lama chazikim ba. ותוכחה מאושר דרכיה נחינו בכל נתיבותיה שלום אשיבנו אדוני אליך ונשמה קדש ימינו קדש ימינו and now please be seated and a little bit of music. I'm going to give you an Enkel Eloheinu. Now it's a Ladino Enkel Eloheinu, and it's the one that we know, but they take it at a little different pace. This is from the Spanish-Portuguese synagogue in Montreal. Hold on, I'm going to move ahead. Here we go. Spanish and Portuguese. Here we go. Let's see if I've got it right. Here we go. Page 508. 508. Now, that's the exact same one that we played last week, which is that no como esto, right? But it's sung like a happy song. Here it's done as a dramatic prayer. The notes are almost the same. It's only the timing has been changed. It's a completely different piece.
Well, it seems like it says different though. See that it's in a minor key.
Yeah. So what they've shifted, but it's the same melody, right? As a
Right.
Right.
Just like you're not.
Yeah. But it's the rhythm, the timing has changed it completely. Okay, let's go ahead. Aleinu, please, we'll join in. Aleinu the Shabbat, page 510. Aleinu the Shabbat ladon hakol. La take it la liotzer breshit. Shelo sanigei haratzot. Velo samanuk mishpachot adama. Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem. Begor aleinu kecho hamonam. Vanachnu korim. Omishtahavim omodim. Lifnei melech. Malchei hamlachim. Akadosh baruch hu. Shunat hashamayim v'yosed aretz. Mashi mekaro b'shamayim mimal, u'shchinatu zo begabe meromim, u'Eloheinu einod, ememakenu efezulato, karkatu b'torato, b'yadat hayom v'ashivota elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, Bashamayim mimal, v'alaretz mitachateinu. Ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom ahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Bring it down and bring it back up. No, let go all the way. No, pull down and release it. That's it. Okay, good. Okay, we'll just. All right. None of you saw what was going on. That's fine. Okay, the one is Kaddish. I'm sorry, I don't have the list with me, but we recall all those who passed away during this year and those whose Yahrzeits commemorated during this week. Anyone have names, please, for us? Yeah. Mark Kogan, Bart Kogan, Stephen Alexander. Any other names? Yeah, Bill McCutcheon. So for all of them, we have them in our hearts and in our minds. Those who are setting them on as Kaddish, recite with me, please, on page 512. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shemei Rabba, Be'alma Divra Chirutei, Be'amlich Malchutei, B'chayechon, Be'amechon, U'chayei, Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalau B'zman Kariv Imru Amen, Ya'ish Mei Rabom Korach, Le'olam, U'omer Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnasei, V'yitardar, V'yitarlev, V'yithalal, Shemei Dekucha Berichu, Le'elam Min Kol, Birchata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechmata, Damiram B'yama V'imru Amen, Yesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya B'chayim Aleinu, V'akoyse V'imru Amen, Ose Shalom B'imramar, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, V'akoyse V'imru Amen. Please be seated. I'm going to be away the next 2 weeks, so I leave you in the amply capable hands of Dr. Isaac Norman. Thank you very, very much. Are you giving up on your son's being in the choir, or are you going to bring your grandson? Are going to bring him here? Try to get him here. Okay, good. So I'm going to go to my topic. We spent so much time on all these side sessions, which were very good, but I can't miss my topic, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Let's go into share screen. Very important, very important. I'm going to go here. let's close all of this down. I don't need to see any of the, we'll just shrink it. And open this, there we go. And I'm going to put this on. There we go. I'm in the corner there. You see me. Okay, that's what's important. You can see me in the corner. That's what counts here. A little bit bigger. A little bigger. There we go. Okay. So I thought of this because we are let's stay here because of my concern. We have all this stink about Kanye West and Nick Fuentes and then coming to dinner with Trump, and he messed it up completely. So I'm thinking of this also because over last weekend I saw the movie by Spielberg, Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans, which is a takeoff on his own life and a childhood and young teenage years, and dealing with being the only Jew around. And it ties in so very well with our Torah reading last week, this week, and next week. It play Century City, AMC is playing there, a few other places. Yeah, I should still be screening. It was very good. It was very good. It's good. What can I tell? So we had last week. Jacob is running for his life from his vengeful brother. This Shabbat, how Jacob has the ladder of the angels going up and down, and then he's trying to escape from his brother still. Who wants to kill him, and he comes into the mercies of his uncle and father-in-law, who abuses him over and over again. And the Haggadah will tell us, Arami Oved Avi, the Aramean, Lavan, really tried to kill my father, right? Just as bad. So then next week, I'm going to skip ahead to next week, where we have the reconciliation between two brothers, and that we're going to talk about. So last week, just to remind us, Jacob buying or selling, buying his birthright from Esau for Nazir Adashim. Nazir Adashim meaning a bowl of lentil soup. There's the lentil soup, Adashim. Okay, and then I'll throw in, and then it's a medieval, late Renaissance Baroque painting, Giovanni Andrea de Ferrari. Then we have this week the angels up and down on the ladder. It's from an early woodcut illustration. And then we have the meeting of Jacob with his brothers, right? So as Jacob next week goes to meet his brother, he's very afraid. He divides his camp into his family into two camps. So if Jacob attacks one, the other one can escape. And we have the vision of Jacob wrestling with the angel. This we all know. He comes to Esau and he grovels. Jacob grovels on the ground 7 times. And Esau, instead of killing, kisses him. No, instead of killing, kisses him. So, all right, here we have, I want to put this up so you can see it. You can see it here in artist rendition. Peter Paul Rubens, the great early, it was Baroque period, right? End of Renaissance Baroque period. And here is Jacob, nice, very polite, and bringing his family to all bow in front of Esau. And here is Esau in the warrior's uniform. And I'll make note that he's dressed up like a Roman soldier. I think it's Roman type armor. And we'll see why it's Roman armor. So the Torah reading itself, the Torah text about how Esau greets his brother Jacob is Vayashakehu, and over the word, he kisses him, and over the word, I've put here dots over the letters. And it says, the rabbis interpret, Shalom Nashako B'chol. He really didn't mean it when he kissed him. That's the common interpretation. But says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Shimon Bar Yochai is in the war with the Romans, and so everybody's been wiped out and massacred. He has no love for the Romans. And still he says, Halacha b'yadu she'esav soneh leYaakov. It is known that it is like a commandment, halacha, and a commandment to Esau, that he has to hate Jacob. And here he says, Nafach rachmav b'ota sha'ah. His mercy took him over. It turned him over, and he actually kissed him with full intent. In other words, when Esau now saw Jacob limping and wounded and groveling, he had pity on him once and for all. And he let Jacob go. And he really meant it. Really meant it. So, over the course of time, Esau, who's also known as Edom, red because he's red-haired, became a code name for the Roman Empire. And then, as the Roman Empire became the Christian Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire, the code name in Jewish was for Christianity. Whereas the Muslim world was seen as descendant or influenced from Ishmael, so the Jew caught between these two relatives, the Edomites, the Christian world, the Ishmaelites, the Muslim world, kissing cousins on both sides who don't get along. So Reuben, that's why I think Reuben's, if you know, just go back, if you can see, he put what looks like Roman armor. Maybe he was aware of this Jewish association. I don't know. It would be interesting to find that out, right? Whereas Jacob is the Middle Easterner, he's coming in with camels, right? Two different, so I recognize the Jews that he knows are Orientals. Reuben's in, where's Reuben's in Belgium, I think, right? The Jews, Flemish, right? So the Jews are these Orientals. We're not being accused of being Western white imperialist colonizers by the Palestinians and the supporters, but the Europeans saw us as Orientals. So is there a lesson from it? Well, now, so here's a Bible commentator of Vayetzei Forno, also sort of the Renaissance period, rabbi and philosopher. And he looks at this and says, his attitude changed suddenly when he realized to what extent Yaakov had humbled himself before him. Then he says, it is of great concern to us, so that we live among the descendants of Esau, people who are arrogant, who consider themselves invincible. And Yaakov's conduct vis-a-vis Esau teaches that the only way to escape the sword of Esau is through self-degradation and gifts. You know, as he's telling our Jews, Renaissance Italy, the only way you're going to get around in this neighborhood is you're going to kiss some from you nowhere, right? You're going to be nice. You're going to be bowing down. You're going to be scraping. That's the only way we're going to make it through. And then he continues and talks about, well, we have experience. If the Jewish people during the period of the Second Temple had taken his advice to heart, the temple would not have been destroyed. Yochanan ben Zakkai testified when he said, if not for the militant extremists, the Romans would not have destroyed the temple. Here's our answer. When we did take violence, we got wiped out. So this approach that Sforno talks about has been true for most of Jewish history. We made it through by laying low. Now, it may have been Jesus that said, turn the other cheek, and he was, as a pious Jew, quoting the Bible. But that was the strategy of survival for Jews over centuries. It says, let him offer his cheek to the smiter, let him be surfeited with mockery. That's the book of Lamentations. The Babylonians destroy us, we give the cheek. It's also similar in Eov, Job, and Isaiah. So then, the rabbis have an interesting discussion in the Talmud, to vote 111a, if anyone wants to look at us. And there's a verse in Song of Songs, which is, I swear you, O daughters of Jerusalem, do not arouse my love. Do not wake my lover. And based on that sentence, I swear, the rabbi said, God forced the Jews to make 2 oaths and the Gentiles 1. So I said, what were these 2 oaths? 1, Lo Ya'alu Yisrael b'chomah. The Jewish people would not take over, the Israelites would not take over the land of Israel anymore by force of arms. Chomah meaning siege engines. Number 1. Number 2, they will not rebel against the nations of the world. We will not rebel against we're going to accept the rule by other peoples. And then to the nations of the world, he said, you may not enslave or make the children of Israel too servile, too much. You can oppress them, but don't go overboard. So that was the reality of Jewish life from Bar Kokhba, the year 70 already, till 20th century. So, and the question, the Hasidim, by the way, the Satmar and so on say, we're still bound by that oath. We should not have taken over the land of Israel. We're still bound by the oath. But we would answer him back, and this is what Jews said, no, that oath was violated in the Holocaust. It shows that if we do not, they violated their agreement. We wouldn't rebel, but they've rebelled against us. So I couldn't help but think of this when I watched Fableman and his theatrical version of his life. And spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you the story. Right? He's a lone Jewish student in high school in Northern California, and he's picked on and beaten up as a Christ killer. And how does he take his revenge? Well, number one, he plays his injury to his advantage, and the girls fall in love with him. Right? When you play picked on, you can play to your advantage. But then he volunteers to be the videographer in the senior ditch day. He plays this movie at the senior prom, and lo and behold, against all expectations, he makes the villain, the one who bullied him, look like a hero. So here's the great twist. This is the Esau part. The bully now breaks down in total frustration because he's been pretending all along to be some kind of superhero, to be, the high school champ and everything, all-star, everything. And in truth, he knows he's incompetent personally, and he's failing in many ways. And he knows he doesn't deserve to be seen as a hero, even though he pretends. And this makes him force him to realize his own failings, and he breaks down and he punches the other kid who's pestering the Spielberg avatar in the story. So it's Jacob meets Esau in a modern version. The rival brothers meet, one kills the other with kindness. So Sammy kills the anti-Semite with kindness. So it sounds good. And again, I can go from the Christian scriptures. Also, Jesus, as a good Jew, saying if someone takes your clothes, do not withhold your tunic. But we also know that Jesus is a Bible-reading Jew. He's actually referencing Proverbs, where the whole quote is, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. For in doing so, you'll heap burning coals on his head. The Lord will reward you. We're going to act nice only because we're going to use it as a way of actually getting power. So there's a great Christian theologian, Albert Schweitzer, who said, no, Jesus did not mean be nice. He actually meant hold off because God is going to do the job for you. The end of the world is coming tomorrow, so don't worry. It's temporary. It was not a philosophy of all ages. So if you're weak, you use jujitsu. Use the enemy's weakness and you play on it. So, but now again, is it a viable strategy? Was it viable during the Holocaust? Could we play jujitsu during the Holocaust? Gandhi said, be nice. Roll over, the Nazis will see that they're wrong. Did it help when we rolled over? No. Did not the nations of the world violate the Talmudic oath not to press Jews over much, right? When they also closed the doors on Jews. We now have documents about how the British, by the way, actively worked with the Palestinians and with the Arabs to destroy the new state of Israel. They're now coming to light. Actually, just the last few weeks, the documents have come to light, how actively they're involved in it. Forget the claim by Palestinians that Israel is a British creation. It was not. It was despite the British. And now this week, the UN, the United Nations said the creation of Israel is a Nakba. We're going to recognize a catastrophe. They failed and we're responsible. They failed. They couldn't get their job. It was offered, the UN offered, here, take this. We want the whole pie. Is that our fault? Do we solve anti-Semitism then by always playing the sweet guy, right? And I want you to know, not all the rabbis like the theory that Jews should always kowtow. So they talk about this, again, discussion in the Midrash. When Jacob said to Esau, my Lord, I bow down 8 times, okay, it's not enough. But he said, my Lord, Holy One said, because you demeaned yourself in front of him, called him my Lord 8 times. Bechayecha in the Israeli slang today is, you should live so long, I'm going to kill you. I swear on your life. His descendants shall rule for 8 generations before your descendants will rule. All right? So there were rabbis who said, no, there's a limit to how much we bow down. So now, I don't want to go on too long, but I'll tell my own experience with anti-Semitism. I wanted to do an open microphone, but don't have the microphone. It's not going to work here. But my own experience. I was an immigrant many times over. Why? I came at the age of 3 to Manhattan So we're in a Jewish school, very Jewish, traditional Orthodox school. And the kids were themselves children of survivors, but they already had grown up and they were speaking English fine. And I was still mumbling in English when I went to school. So I had that transition. But on top of that, my father made me wear a beret on the street. That's the way German Jews dressed in those days. I hated it. I wanted a baseball cap. I wanted a beanie, whatever the kids were wearing. Same thing my classmates did. So my father taught me nothing special about being like everybody else. There's nothing special in being like everybody else. So I practiced that growing up. So a few years later, moved to a small town in Ohio. I know there's a fellow from Ohio who watches us. East Liverpool, Ohio. It's in the corner, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio meet. If he knows, David is online. Okay, if you see it. I was one of the few Jewish children in the school. And in those days, everybody said the Lord's Prayer, and they took turns. It was my turn to say the Lord's Prayer, the Christian prayer. And I told the teacher, and I was only 9 years old at the time, I said, it doesn't feel like the right prayer for me. It doesn't sound like, so the teacher was really very understanding. Said I could lead any prayer I want. So it was my turn. I taught the class Shema, and I had them sing Atikva. Well, what did I know? It's a good selection. And I never had any trouble. Nobody ever bugged me before it. And the Jewish community was in a panic when they heard about it. They were in a panic. They said, my father, how can your father do this? Never had a minute of problem. So I was there for about 2 years. Then we went back to a larger Jewish community for a few years. And then again, my father took a congregation in a town with very few Jews. I was one of the few Jewish kids in the high school, Clarksburg, West Virginia. And again, no one ever picked on me or bothered me. And this was West Virginia, where the people had elected to the Senate, the great majority leader of the Democrats, great liberal, Robert Byrd, who made his fortune to begin by being a member of the Ku Klux Klan, right? But by this time, it was a different era. I guess because I was so Jewish, instead of turning against me, everybody respected me, and I was in everybody's good graces. I would hang around the local YMCA, kids mixed racial and economic backgrounds. Only once was I bothered by a bully, and not because I was Jewish, but because I was trudging a big briefcase with books, and I was too brainy, and these you brainy kids, I'm going to beat you. I just walked away and nothing ever happened. So it was a charmed life. It was a charmed life. Maybe it helped that I was also a little bit more buff than the Fableman character. The Fableman character is sort of shrinking. I was exercised, so as I got into high school, I was buffed up. So maybe that helped also. As for missionaries, like in the Spielberg movie, one of my friends, the daughter of a local Seventh-day Baptist missionary, Christians who are Shomer Shabbos, they observe Shabbat. She never tried to bring me to Jesus, never once, but always sympathized with me because there were the only two kids in the high school who couldn't attend the parties and games on Friday night. Okay, so my experience was, if you're for yourself, never ashamed of yourself, never bow down, you are in. If you want to see, okay, and I think that is true for many, many experiences. I wanted to go on and say, if we can have an open mic, it's just going to be difficult, I think, without having the microphone here. But maybe if somebody want to come up front, did you experience anything in your growing up wherever you were? How did you resolve it? Yeah, so come up front if you want. Go ahead.
First, I'd like to ask though,
Come
is
up
that
front.
why
Come
God
front.
is not mentioned in the book of Esther? In other words, in the book of Esther, at the last chapter.
Okay, so he's mentioned indirectly, which is very indirect. It's a rabbinic pun. The salvation will come from another place, and the word place is God, makom. But the other explanation is it's a raunchy book, and it shouldn't go on there. God's name is it's a fun, it's a raunchy book. There's drinking, there's wild stuff going on. You don't put God's name in a book with wild stuff going on. That's also in Song of Songs.
Right.
Also, a little wild stuff. Okay.
When I was in,
Just talking to here. Yeah.
when I was in high school, elementary
Take
school.
off the share screen. That way we can see you. There we go. Got it.
When I was in elementary school, I started getting beat up when I started identifying as Jewish. I got beat up and I just cowed out and I powered down, and it helped. It seemed to help to do that. And then junior high school, and then it started in high school. My parents sent me to a psychiatrist. Why are you doing this? Well, fight back. My parents sent me to a Jewish psychologist, and he told me about the state of Israel and how at some point, you have to fight. You're gonna need to go into school and you're gonna need to beat up the biggest anti-Semite bully. You're gonna have to at least punch him. Just punch him. I did it. It worked. I missed him. I skimmed his nose, a little blood, but I didn't get picked on ever again in that high school. It ended. Just one swing did it. Sometimes you gotta. I just, my natural instinct was to not fight back. And now I don't have to fight. I didn't have to fight the rest of high school because I just swung once to get it done. But I was miserable in elementary school and middle school. And then from then on, but actually this applies to Israel too. From then on, I became this, I thought I'm the defender of Jews. So I would mix it up a little bit with the anti-Semites. I picked on anti-Semites. And I don't know if that was right.
Got the street fights?
Yeah.
No, it's like they picked on if they were picking on anybody,
Yeah.
the people who picked on me, I would pick on them back again. Because I was big. I was always
Yeah,
big. The
helps.
people who used to
It
pick on
helps.
me that I got in a ball with were often smaller than me. But all those kids, look back at it, all those kids were poor. They would come to school with bruises sometimes. And they were lower middle class. This was Florida. They lived in trailers, which was a bad thing in Florida. And I think everyone who picked on me, everyone who was an anti-Semite was picked on by their parents.
That's one of the problems. The bully is someone who in some way is acting out his own reaction to being hit at some point.
Yeah.
They're very powerful.
Yeah, and I think that applies to Hamas. I think Hamas terrorizes the Palestinian people. I think they're the biggest terrorists in the world. And the people who get the worst are the Palestinians.
Anyone else?
What is the question?
Yeah. So no, experience growing up. If any of you had experience growing up being picked on because you were Jewish and how you handled it. Well, you were in Israel, so if your fellow Israelis could have done it to you.
I had experienced it. They used to take the kippah out of me.
Ah.
They used to tell me, now you cannot walk without the kippah. And other.
Where was that here? Oh, in Israel. Oh, that's between Jews and Jews. Yes. Oh.
People don't realize that the religious society, it's a small society, and the Jewish, you can see United States in 1950. Why you have so many reform and conservative? And even today, how much from the Jewish population is the Orthodox?
A little bit bigger. It's getting bigger though. Yeah, but I know, but it's so small. It's 10-12%.
No,
I think that's it.
1900. People immigrated to after 1880 the program.
Right.
What is the percentage religious?
Yeah. Even then, yeah, it was not a big percentage. It was not a big
So-
percentage. It was mostly the 1930s, 40s was the religious wave. Yeah. That's where the Haredim came. It was
They came, but
later.
But we're talking in Hungary.
Yeah,
In 1860, they gave us the freedom.
right. Mhm.
In 1870, how many was Jews that even the Jews converted?
Yeah. No, that's a true point. And there were neolog in Hungary. It's the Jewish community was shifting. Yeah, yeah. No, I'll tell you this, very interesting. We say, yeah, Jews get on Jews' backs.
Give us a lecture one time about the Karaim.
Yeah. That's, yeah, if we have any
The
kind.
Karaim cause us a lot of problems.
During World War II, there are criticisms, also under the Russians, also under the Tsars. That's a whole story by itself. But even Jews among Jews, when I was a young student in Israel, and I wore a yarmulke in Jerusalem, there would be kids who come up and say, "Anachu chofshiyim, we are free." It was So, yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Also, Jews and Jews based on where your background is, your family, Mizrahi, Ashkenazi, right? So, but that's human beings. But the main thing is you have to confront. You have to be able to confront. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to wrap it up. And may nobody ever get beaten up. I have a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, who came to the United States from Argentina as a teenager. In Argentina, the kids picked on him because he was Jewish. He came to the United States, and the kids in school picked on him because he was Spanish. Can't win. Okay, so everybody, we're going to wrap up with Adon Olam. Let's all join in. We'll sing it together. There we go. Page 500 and Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yachare Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Vehu haya, vehu hove, vehu yeh betifara, vehu echad, ve'ein sheni, ve'hamshil lo la'achbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, v'ha'oz v'ha'misra, vehu eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzorchem li b'eitzara, Ve'hu nisi umanos li menat gosi b'yom ekra b'yado afkiduchi b'eiti sham b'ya'ira b'meruchi geviyati Adonai li v'lo ira Shabbat shalom.